Hello, today I'll be presenting our 6310 project, the Pokemon project. The overall structure of our project is a Docker container that is running two separate images. One of those images is the backend server. That server is a jar that references a SQLite database. Our front end image is an Angular web application that is served via NGINX. So you can serve it by going to the Docker folder within our project and running docker compose up. This goes ahead and builds, and so if we look at Docker, we can see our two images built and our container running. So if we pull up a web browser and we go to localhost, we will have to go to profile as we don't have a default location currently set, but we're just going to start at profile. We can see our application is running. So we'll start here on the user screen. Now there are two types of users. There are normal users and there are system administrators. Normal users are going to be able to see the Pokemon that they own, the battles that they have run, and the tournaments that they have run. Whereas system administrators are going to be able to see all Pokemon that all trainers own, all battles that have been run within the system, and all tournaments within the system. This ensures that a normal user has a normal experience where they're running through the game on their own, whereas a system administrator is going to be able to track down potential bug reports, find issues with anything a user comes back with and says, hey, this battle went wrong. They'll be able to go to the battle screen, log in, and see every single battle that every user has run and check against any potential problems. But because the system administrator has, elevated privileges to the system, it's going to require a password. So if we're current password is just change it, but you can see that we now have the system administrator privileges, but I can change back to a user, and just going between users doesn't require a password. So I can switch between user 1 and user 2 without requiring a password, but in order to be a sysadmin, I need the password to be able to run as a system administrator. So let's go ahead and change to user 1 again, and then we can take a look at the Pokedex. Now, Pokedex are just potential Pokemon that you can capture as a user, and you can actually see every user's entry in the Pokedex. So if I was to add one as user 1, user 2 would be able to see it, and if I was to add one as user 2, user 1 will be able to see it. These are all of the Pokemon that are available to capture, but if we actually wanted to capture one, scroll back up here, we can go to Trainers Pokemon. Now, I don't currently own any as user 1, so I can add one to the Pokedex. So we can see that same list here, and we can add Venonat here. Give him the name Venny with a certain HP value. We can add Thunderbolt, Hyper Beam, and Acid Armor, and Spiky Shield as moves. And just go over to the moves. The moves are similar, where they have a type of offensive, a certain strength, or a type defensive and a certain strength. You can see all moves that all users have added to the system and be able to attach those to your Pokemon as a user. But if I go to my Trainers Pokemon, I can only see mine. So for instance, though, if I was to go to profile and change myself to user 2, that Pokemon is not there because that's not my Pokemon. But let's go back to user 1. So if I go to user 1, you can see my my Pokemon here, Venny. Really nice guy there. But let's go ahead and add a second Pokemon so we can battle. Bulby. And then we'll add a couple moves. I always like a Bulbasaur that knows how to do a flamethrower. Cool. So we can see these two Pokemon. and then we can battle them. So let's go battle these two Pokemon. And now we're on the battle report screen. So we can see Bulby was the winner. Shocking, he had 1,000 more damage. And here we can actually see a printout report of exactly what happened in the battle. So you can see what round it is, what Pokemon 1 did, which is Bulby, what Pokemon 2 did, which is Veni. Oops, sorry. And what their current HP was at the time that they made those moves. So if we scroll down, we can see he started protecting himself, but eventually found a move that wasn't going to be able to protect him. And so 59 rounds later, we have a winner, and it is Bulby. So now that we've done a battle, let's go ahead and run through a tournament. But let's go and we can actually add a entry to the Pokedex here. Now we have a long Pokedex because this is all Pokemon that we have entered, but we can add Marshmallow to our Pokemon. Oh, Marshmallow to our Pokemon entry here, and we can see that we'll have a new entry if we go to Trainer Pokemon and we add, and we scroll all the way to the bottom. We can see our new Pokemon, Marshmallow, that we can catch. So we can name him Marsh, and we'll set his HP at 3012. Have fun with it. So we can add as many offensive and defensive moves as we want. There's no real limit to the amount of moves that you can add. There's just, you have to add moves to be able to battle and run in tournaments. So let's go ahead and add Marshmallow, and we can see we have that Pokemon now up there. So let's go run through a tournament. So we can select Bulby, we can select Marsh, and we can select Veni, and we can run them in a tournament. And we can see Marsh was the winner. Again, he had like 1,000 more XP or HP, so not a shock that he's going to end up winning there. And so we can see our battles that were run in those tournaments, and if we go here to our battle screen, we can see the battles that were that took place. And you can see we had Marsh versus Veni, where Marsh ended up winning, and then we had Bulby versus Marsh. So Bulby got the first round bye, but still couldn't pull it through at the end. So these battles are run based on a seed. This seed by default is the Unix time where it started, when the program started, but we can set this to be kind of whatever we would like it to be. So, you know, anything within integer range is free reign. But yeah, and so then if you were to run the battles again, they will produce entirely different outcomes. But if you're able to set the seed as a system admin, you know, or anyone, if you're investigating kind of why a battle happened, or if you want to replay a battle that, you know, you heard about, you can set the seed and you'll be able to get consistent results with that seed. So let's go ahead and change to user 2. And here we can see we don't have any Pokemon on user 2. But we can see the moves that user 1 has created and the Pokedex entries that user 1 has created. There is a bug currently with our Pokedex entry list where ones entered since it entered the Docker container aren't appearing, but you can still create Pokemon with them, like we can here. So you can see like Marshmallow, the one that we created, and we can name him also Marsh, and set his HP and add some moves to him. And there we go. We have also Marsh. If you wanted, we could even add some moves to the list. Another move. And defender. Cool. And so then we can go ahead and add a Pokemon. And we could scroll down and add another move. And we can scroll down and add defender to our Pokemon. Great. And so we can battle those Pokemon. And we can go ahead and see that Char wins that battle. Despite having less HP, only 1,000 HP. He ended up winning that one, which is pretty cool. And if we go back to user 1, we can see we're back to all of their Pokemon and his battles and whatnot. So we do have a clear separation of roles here. But if we go to sysadmin, we can see both user 1 and user 2's Pokemon. And if we go to battles, we can see all of the battles between all of the users. So we have our 3 user 1 battles that we've already demonstrated, and then the user 2 battle. We only have the 1 tournament, but we can go to battles, user 2, and tournament. And see tournaments. And now if we were to go to profile and we go back to sysadmin, we can see both tournaments. So we have a clear separation of roles and persistent Pokemon. So now let's go ahead and add a new user. So we name him new, and we can add him, and we can see new is now in the list, and you don't need a password to, go to him. But if we say new admin, and we make them an admin, cool, new admin, and you do require the same password. Now all admins are going to share the same password. It's just a single password, but we can add a new admin, and you can see that that admin can have the same privileges as the other admin. So it's more of a role than anything. So just to wrap up here, we will run through the requirements that we were assigned and assigned to ourselves. Our first functional requirement was creating persistent Pokemon. This is seen by creating Pokemon and giving them to users. Those users can, own those Pokemon, and those Pokemon will last. If we were to bring down the Docker container and stop the system from running, it stopped running, but we bring it back up, you can see we default to user 1 again, but those Pokemon are still there. So they're going to persist through sessions and through system restarts, and that's done through our SQLite database file. And so that's our persistent Pokemon. And so in terms of archivability, we have our battle reports. Here you can see all of the data about the Pokemon and what happened with those battles and with those tournaments, with the ability to archive that data and save it later, and that again persists through restarts and through refreshes. And then in terms of auditability, we have our switching to the profile for system admins that are able to audit the entire system and are able to look at each user, their actions, and their Pokemon. And so that is how we've met all 3 of our requirements. And if there's any questions, just let us know. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. So just as an addendum here, I wanted to show what running the command line console looks like. So if we run the Maven clean install, it will produce a jar called like Pokemon jar with dependencies, or Pokemon project.jar with dependencies. And if we run that jar, we can see we have a command line application here. We'll have a set of moves and a set of Pokemon, like Pokedex info. So if we want to do like add Sushi to our party, so we'd say add a party, Sushi, his HP value be 1, 2, 3, 4, nickname Sush, add an offensive move, we'll add tackle, we're done with the offensive moves. We'll add reflect as a defensive move, done. And if we said trainer info, we can see we have sushi in there. And so then if we say add to party, another sushi for fun, give him 1 HP, weak as a nickname, and we'll also give him tackle and reflect. And done. And then we'd say battle, Sush, and weak. And we can see we can still battle. And so if you just run through the commands here, we can run tournaments, add things to the Pokedex, add moves to Pokemon, and all of these other things. We could like display info on Sush. We can see which moves he has and how much HP he has and everything. And we can set seed, remove seed, whatever you need to do. And most of what you can do on the front end, you can also do through the command line. Thank you.